Attack of the Undead has been going on within Call of Duty World War II for the past week or so now, almost at this point, and it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the first week of the event itself. Hopefully you guys have been taking advantage of Infected, because right now it is scheduled to go away this upcoming week so that then Horde Point can come into the game, and then maybe we'll see it come back for the last week where we have maybe all three, but regardless, we are going to be seeing some changes here throughout that. But again, while Attack of the Undead is absolutely a ton of fun and I'm really enjoying it, one thing that I've become increasingly curious about is that of when we'll see DLC 3, because I'm one of those people that really like to schedule things out in my mind. I like to try and figure these things out and then kind of be prepared in that sense that we know when things may drop. So in my mind, I'm always thinking about that kind of stuff. And believe it or not, we're actually fast approaching when I think that will happen and when we may end up seeing Call of Duty World War II's DLC 3 drop for PlayStation 4 and then of course 30 days later for Xbox One and PC. So today in this video, we're gonna be taking a look at and laying out an educated guess on when we can maybe see this happening and also what we can expect within DLC 3, which, believe it or not, there may be some more goodies than you may just anticipate than that of just, say, 3 multiplayer maps, a war map, and a zombies map. But we'll get to that part in a little bit. Now, let's talk about when this might actually happen. So right now, as it stands, we're once again starting Attack of the Undead. We're a little bit into that, but we may have something on the near future. But how near? Well, that really is dependent on a few different things. But firstly, I want to take a look at the kind of parameters for DLC 3 that have been set in the past. So again, as you guys know, we pretty much get a regular sort of pocket of time each year for DLC 1, 2, 3, and 4. And even though Black Ops 3 had a 5th DLC, we're not going to include that one in here because that's just that outlier. That said, going back in the last couple of games, Infinite Warfare's DLC 3 dropped on July 6th, Black Ops 3's DLC dropped on July 12th, Advanced Warfare's DLC 3 dropped on June 2nd, and then Ghost's DLC 3 dropped on June 3rd. So we're kind of all over the place here with that, but it gives us about a month to work with in that sense, in which if we follow that same pattern, we're right in that pocket right now. Obviously, as of watching this, this is the 3rd, so a couple of years ago, and a day is when Advanced Warfare's DLC 3 dropped, and then a couple of years ago today is when Ghosts had its 3rd DLC pack released as well. So we're starting this already, we're now in that prime time for when a DLC 3 may actually happen. But the thing is, my initial thought that a couple of weeks back, a couple of months maybe, I would have kind of estimated that we'd be closer now to the June 2nd and June 3rd release date, or in this case, if it were to happen, a Tuesday, June 5th release for PlayStation 4, simply because of Black Ops 4's earlier release date. I kind of thought that maybe that would play into effect where we'd get the marketing material and promo and releases of everything moved up ever so slightly because Black Ops 4 is releasing a month earlier than that of when we actually usually see Call of Duty launch. But that said, I wouldn't necessarily expect this to drop right out of nowhere because we do have Attack of the Undead. For what we know, that doesn't tie in with any DLC 3, but it's just a fun little thing. And so I wouldn't expect DLC 3 to drop just this Tuesday or something out of the blue. But another thing we have to take into consideration is that E3 is right around the corner. So that's going to be showing off a ton of content in the gaming industry, and it's going to have hands-on for multiplayer of Black Ops 4. So while we might not be getting much new info, the attention will still be there for that game. And so those are the immediate roadblocks here with this, but we also can now take a look at this in a more analytical perspective, in a way that we can end up trying to predict how the marketing calendar actually ticks over at Activision, how they end up deciding to release everything here with this. And if you guys have paid attention to Call of Duty in the past couple of years or so, it's pretty much been down to around a 2-week window in which Activision likes to operate within each individual release. So they're not gonna release or promo something one day after something massive just dropped. So therefore, theoretically, Attack of the Undead dropping this past week, that's still a little too early to start promoing for a DLC 3. So that is something that, again, would kind of just not feel right. But you may have noticed that there seemingly is always that 2-week period between promotional and full releases in the peak portions of the year, which right now I definitely consider this to be peak, since we're in the middle of debuting new content with Black Ops 4 as of recently with the reveal, and then E3 is going to have some cool stuff as well. The marketing continues for all that, and of course we still have Call of Duty World War II, in which is still the active title, still giving us new content and info on a regular basis, as we normally see with the marketing schedule for the current title. And honestly, as of the last couple of years, we've even seen that current title get more attention and more support and more content and more love all throughout that year, so that we end up having way more content than that of, say, whenever we would have a Black Ops 2 marketing promo, something like that. So it's definitely changed and become a lot busier in the last couple of years, but it's totally cool. But here's where we can play around a little bit with this and even see immediately that little 2-week window being that sort of centerpiece for how everything works out. Let's go back to the Blitzkrieg event. That ended on May 8th, and then 9 days later, we end up seeing the Black Ops 4 reveal. So not even 2 weeks. Then 12 days later, after the May 17th Black Ops 4 reveal, again, not even 2 weeks later, Attack of the Undead is released in terms of that update for Call of Duty World War II. So then 2 weeks after Attack of the Undead, that's the start of E3. So we'll be seeing more of Black Ops 4 content probably, and since it is playable E3, maybe some leaks and some new info and content. And if I'm not mistaken also, Jason Blundell said that something about zombies info would be at E3 as well. So definitely there's going to be a big focus, at least on the Activision side and Call of Duty side for Black Ops 4. So again, I wouldn't expect anything for a DLC 3 to happen at that point, but that still follows that 2-week time frame where the past couple of weeks, every almost 2 weeks, if not 2 weeks exactly, we've had something. So if you start to look at that and see that rough outline of the 2-week window, up until E3, we have absolutely no room to work with for a DLC 3. But what about after? Because let's mock up a quick calendar here using the same formula of 2 weeks. Let's go 2 weeks from E3's June 12th start. That would take us to a rough estimate of Tuesday, June 26th, which we can do a routine check of a small number of things. 1, is it 2 weeks apart from the other events? Yes. 2, is it a rough outline for when DLC 3 is usually released? Yes, it's actually right in that window of early June to early July that we've seen in the past couple of years. And the third thing is, would it conflict with anything else in the COD world too much? Honestly, probably not. But the interesting part enough also is that if it is actually the 26th, if that is when DLC 3 actually launches, you may recognize that as the end of the Attack of the Undead event, and that would actually play perfectly into how an update would work for Call of Duty World War II. More than likely, we're gonna need a title update to take the event offline because it was such a massive update. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 5 gigabytes or something like that for the update for Attack of the Undead. But to take everything offline for the event itself and return to a state of normalcy, we'll probably need a title update with that, so that would actually be a perfect time to throw DLC 3 right into that update and patch it in all at one time. A perfect and seamless crossover, if you will. Then presumably, again, a new event 2 weeks later to bridge the gap between DLC 3 on PS4 and continue on for the launch of Xbox One and PC. But now we're just getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. The date, though, works out quite nicely, doesn't it? So my guess is June 26th here for that official launch date of DLC 3 on PlayStation 4. Again, that's all educated guesses, but it does seem like it works out the best here for me with that one. But let's talk a little bit about what I'd expect with the DLC, because again, like we said, there are a few things here sprinkled throughout that I would actually expect a little extra than that of just 3 multiplayer maps, 1 war map, and a zombies map. Now again, obviously those things will be coming, but there's a little bit more that we can take a look at. So let's jump into that. Firstly, we ended up seeing actually a Reddit leak from a couple of weeks ago, and I believe now, maybe even a month and a half back at this point, but we ended up seeing a little bit of a game file leak for the update that contained the Blitzkrieg event, in which we ended up seeing 13 new weapons added into the game files, a new division, the war map location, and a little bit of what that will actually entail, some face camos, and the Chrome Tiger camo added in that we had never seen before in those builds previously. Now the nice part that plays into the credit of this data mined information was that we've seen a lot of this already. We saw some of those new weapons, we saw the face camos, we saw Chrome Tiger, and that is something that really, to me, is a good start in showing the validity of how much this stuff has progressed and how close it is to actually being revealed whenever we end up having a large portion of what was data mined already out there in the public at this point. So in my books, well, I think that we might see a new division as well as a little bit more information on the DLC 3 war map. So right now, as it stands, the DLC map itself, the war map, is apparently set in Tunisia, North Africa. And then we'll end up having the objectives of capture a flag, hold a hard point, and destroying an objective. So very similar to the Husky opening sequence as well as the secondary sequence, and then maybe say something like the relay of the tank within Intercept, because that objective to destroy that, and of course in Breakout as well, is to obviously escort the tank so you can stop the train or stop the flak guns in Breakout. So that's the sort of stuff we can maybe expect with DLC 3's war map, and that was as of a month and a half ago or something like that. So we'll obviously have a lot more to do with the game if more updated files were available and gave a little more information information, but at the moment, that's what we have, and so that's what I would expect for that war map in particular. But again, the next big thing is obviously the biggest out of this whole thing because it completely not changes the way the game is played, but offers more of an extension on how to play, that being a new division. We've talked about this for so long, and I don't really want to stay on it too much because we have discussed it before, but that said, the Commando Division is something that's been in the game files for quite some time, and even as of earlier than the Blitzkrieg event starting, back with DLC 2, we ended up getting the different things within the paint jobs. The layering for the Commando Division itself was actually found in that update. So they subsequently were put offline about a day or two after that update went out, and since then we haven't seen anything, but we have seen more progression in the game files, in which we can end up seeing that it also allows you to take a few more basic trainings based off of how many kills you end up getting on a kill streak you go. So very similar to that of the Specialist strike package from Modern Warfare 3, as well as Ghost had it as well. But then you also get things like increased explosive damage, increased sprint speed, and decreased recoil per headshot kills that goes along with other streaks as well that you end up getting for different types of kills. So it's very interesting to see how this one will play out, and I'm definitely really looking forward to seeing if this will come within DLC 3, and since there has been so much work put on this, it wouldn't surprise me if it does. Now, the interesting part is that, of course, we did end up seeing that there was another division that was theoretically going to be tied with DLC 2, but my guess is that with that division overhaul that happened around then, it was pretty much scrapped. So that actual update to that new division, it pretty much was in line with the division changes we saw previously and kind of would null and void the even purpose of having a division with those attributes. So maybe we end up seeing one now with DLC 3 and then one with DLC 4, but it's very interesting and I'm hopeful that we end up seeing something regarding it relatively soon. But that said, that is when and what I would expect for Call of Duty World War II with the upcoming DLC 3 pack looming on the horizon. So maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong, I don't know. Your guess is honestly as good as mine, but that's some investigative work that I like to do with this kind of stuff because again, I just find it fun to try and plan all this kind of stuff out and give you guys the lowdown of what and when it may be coming. So that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Do you agree with this? Do you guys disagree? Do you have something that you may find a little bit more plausible elsewhere in terms of the calendar? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Right now, there is no right or wrong answer, so of course, this is all great discussion that we can have here with this, so love to get your thoughts. That said, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty World War II updates, DLC, information, best class setups, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel, so if any of that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected from outside of YouTube, practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, try to get more active over there. I've been posting a lot of pictures of some recent travels, so if you guys are interested in that, that link is down there as well. But all that's in and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. Take care, and peace.